I feel this is one of the greatest trip hazards for most spiritual seekers. And why I say trip hazard is because, as you just voiced, even though you had not consciously recognized this before, it tends to be a barrier for you in resting fully and deeply in conscious presence and allowing yourself to be fully here. The challenge in this is that we have become so divorced from creation and all its forces. We're so divorced from our innate makeup, the authenticity of natural order and natural beingness, that we reject the creative processes that appear less than benevolent. And I say appear less than benevolent because we have become so trapped in these conditions that fear and reject the dynamics, the forces of creation that we call destructive. As a consequence, because we are living in a way that we assert the mental construct onto our existence, we assert this notion of control and bias, that we reject nature in all its truth and power. We try to push out those destructive energies and forces, and what happens as a consequence is that if you push out of yourself, you push away the shadow, you push away the destructive nature, or you deny and reject violence, it becomes concentrated elsewhere. And that results in either concentrated in select accumulated places of power and control, such as our system that we're living in, our governments, unfortunately some of our leaders, etc., but also concentrated in the unconscious self, so that either it is projected onto us, we are the violated, or we become the violator. And so, whilst initially that thought sparks in you this desire to find trust in the benevolence of the universe, it's like the mindset, well, I'm only going to trust if I know 100% for sure that the universe, creation is benevolent, when all around you is the evidence that it's not entirely benevolent. All around you is the evidence that creation itself is both beautiful and nurturing and tender and gentle and violent and destructive and rotting and putrid and horrendous. It's all of this. Our incapacity to embrace this is the very thing that has us trapped, is the very thing that has us split, is the very thing that has given rise to systems of control and concentrated violence. And so the quest for the true spiritual seeker cannot be without its courage. It requires enormous courage on our part to dismantle that falsely conditioned construct, the illusion, the idea that we can finally get to a place which is pure and perfect and sweet and it's only benevolent, and therefore we can only trust in creation and in God. When all the while the trust arises when we recognize that despite the presence of that which appear as contradicting forces, creation, destruction, tenderness, nurturing, violence, chaos, despite that, you I, we, this beingness remains untouched, unbroken, untainted. This is the keeper of all that. And so it is that despite encountering and being a part of these forces, that we too are this. We have violence within us. We have destruction within us.